Unit 6 at GCSE Business Studies is taking a look at the influences on business decision making. These are the influences that are beyond the business's control, but ultimately do have an impact on how a business will decide to operate. Now, that could be the day to day running of the business, or it could be expansion, releasing a new product, and so on. But each of these different factors that we're looking at in Unit 6 could potentially have an impact on that decision making process. So, from ethics to globalization, the business needs to prepare and respond. So, to each of these factors and be aware of changes, fluctuations, and trends in each of these factors if they're to plan and prepare themselves appropriately and be successful. First thing we're looking at today is ethics. Now, in business, what we call morals are business ethics. Now, these are the behaviors of the organization, and they are, whether or not they're ethical or not, is pretty much determined by society, and it's something that the business has very little control over. Customers are constantly putting businesses under scrutiny these days for how ethical they behave. Now, that could include how they respond to customer complaints, right the way through to how the relationships they have with their suppliers, with their employees, or even where they source their materials from. And in today's business, especially as there's so much competition out there for almost every market, the less ethical you are, the more chance you have of customers deciding to switch from your business to one of your competitions. So being aware of ethics, but also understanding how those changes will affect your business can be very, very important. And next, we're taking a look at obviously the environment, and the environment concerns itself with how ecologically friendly a business is and how environmentally friendly they are as an organization in their day-to-day operation. From recycling right the way through to sustainability, the business needs to be aware of how their effect on the environment can have an impact on the reputation and the image or perception of the company. And obviously, changes in environmental practices, from increasing how much you recycle to reducing your waste, even reducing your packaging or making your packaging more recyclable, can come with certain costs. However, there are also certain opportunities offered as a result of the consumers' changing attitudes towards the environment. And they range from businesses that exist now that didn't exist, say, 40 years ago. For example, the solar panel industry. While solar panels have been around for a long time, putting them on the roofs of houses and certain office buildings wasn't a huge market, say, 40 years ago. But as the environment becomes more and more important to customers and to governments, well, then businesses have to obviously change, and it's created a whole new market of sustainability and environmentally friendly products. And of course, we're also going to be taking a look at the economy, the activities within a country concerned with things like manufacturing, distribution, sale of goods and services within a country. And the strength and the state of the economy can have quite a significant impact on the performance of a business. So, for example, if you've got an organization that depends quite heavily on customers having a lot of disposable income. So the luxury end of the grocery industry, for example, a strong economy would certainly help a business like that. Whereas a declining economy could see people holding on to their money rather than spending on luxuries, even switching where they do their grocery shopping, deciding to put on hold that new car purchase or moving house, all of which can have an impact on how well a business can perform. So just if you think about it, the fewer people spend their money, which means sales goes down, which means profit goes down, and as profit goes down, businesses have to make some tough decisions. Maybe they offer fewer promotions, bonuses get cut. Worst case scenario, they have to get rid of some staff, and again, it has a knock-on effect on the economy, and it can also have a knock-on effect on business profits. And before I go, I want to quickly mention misconceptions. Ethics and environmental factors are two completely separate factors that we need to consider individually. Now, there's a misconception that environmental factors are the same as ethical ones. Now, while there can be some overlap, what you'll find is that these two are separate entities entirely. So, when we take a look at the environmental factors, we do have to be aware of sustainability, waste disposal, pollution, and climate change. Now, those are the four key factors we must be aware of in environmental factors, and they are not the same as the ethical factors in terms of where do we get our supplies from, in terms of the ethical behaviour of our suppliers. Do they have things like child labour, low wages, poor working conditions? They are not the same as the environmental factors that we have to take a look at. All of these factors will be looked at in a great deal more detail in your lessons. So I hope this has been at least a useful introduction to them. And if you do have any questions, then by all means, ask your teacher in the lesson.